What's going on, guys? Shameen. I want to talk today about the two biggest dream killers, the two biggest things that get in the way of people accomplishing their goals, two very bad habits that people have that I've personally dealt with a lot over the years. So I'm speaking from experience, but I think the two biggest things that, end up killing people's dreams is number one is procrastination, and then number two is inconsistency. So, starting off with procrastination, I mean, anytime that you're procrastinating, you're putting things off, you're kind of giving in to the spirit of laziness, like, oh, I'll put it off till tomorrow, or let me focus on it later on. The problem with procrastination is that eventually it turns into full out avoidance to where sometimes it never gets done in the first place. So that's the big issue. Number one is like when you procrastinate too much, things just end up not getting done at all. I mean, I can't tell you guys the number of articles and blog posts that I've procrastinated on that ended up never getting written, or the number of ideas or marketing strategies or even videos. There's so many things that I procrastinated on to where it just ended up not getting done. And procrastination is probably one of the worst things, or one of the worst habits that you can develop, especially if you're trying to be, successful in any type of business or content creation or anything like that. Like, you have to kill the procrastination. You have to just kind of start. And that kind of goes into your discipline, and also just kind of how serious you are about accomplishing your goal. Because I always say, if you cared about it, you would have already started. Or, if you were serious about it, you would have already started. That's a pretty popular saying, and it's true. Like your actions show what you prioritize. If you haven't actually started something, you're clearly not that serious about it. Because even if you have like no knowledge, no skills, no experience, like if you're actually serious about something, you'll get started, you'll take that first step. Even if that first step is just like research or reading or anything like that, you'll actually get started. A very easy way to tell how serious somebody is about something, especially when it comes to like something new or something that they say that they want to achieve, is ask them how far along they are, ask them what stage they are. Because if they're serious, they'll have something to show that they've taken some sort of step forward or made some sort of progress, or at least made some sort of initial attempt. So procrastination is like a huge issue, I think, for a lot of people. It's definitely been an issue for me. I mean, if I could execute on everything that I thought of or that I said I wanted to do, I'd be a machine. I'd be on a whole other level, which a lot of people are able to, do that and commit to that, which, takes some discipline and, kind of commitment. So don't procrastinate. The other issue with procrastination is when you look at self-improvement as a whole, especially if I look back on my journey over the years of, business and marketing and gaining new skills. A lot of times you don't necessarily reach a certain level of understanding or reach a certain plateau until you actually are in the middle of something, until you actually dive in. And so the more you procrastinate on getting involved into something, you're kind of putting off how knowledgeable you're going to be. Like, for example, when I first got into working in business development, working in software sales, it took me a certain amount of time to kind of dial in and like learn the industry more and get familiar with things. So after that, a lot of things came easier. Now, if I had put things off about getting into the industry, it just would have prolonged that. Or say, for example, with when I learned how to do like blogging and SEO, it's taken me certain benchmarks or milestones in my experience to truly internalize certain knowledge, or to reach a certain level of confidence and proficiency. So, if I had procrastinated on publishing my articles and writing my blogs and doing that SEO work and putting in these optimizations and kind of having to fail to also learn, because when you start something new you're going to make mistakes, so you're just prolonging the process of getting to whatever it is that you want to achieve, or to leveling up in a certain way the more you put it off. So if there's something that's is a priority for you to accomplish, don't wait. And I know this is something that a lot of abstract thinkers have an issue with, like people who are really good, like abstract thinkers, maybe sometimes they're really good analytical thinkers as well, is they actually have a problem with pulling the trigger. And so it's hard for them to get things launched, which actually takes us into the next, big dream killer, which is the second one I want to talk about, which is inconsistency. So, when you do actually get started on something, it's going to take time to learn it. Anytime you're getting involved in something new or trying to launch something off the ground or create something fresh, it's going to take time and it's going to take practice to get good at it. I don't care if it's learning a new language, playing a sport, learning how to write, learning how to code. Doesn't matter what it is, cooking, any skill that you can think of, it's going to take time to actually, reach a certain skill level. And that consistency is really what's going to dictate, how quickly you get proficient. If you look at like social media and marketing and business, consistency is a huge thing. Like for example, building an audience on social media, you can't be sporadic when you're creating your content, whether you're doing emails or videos or blogs or social media posts. Like if you do some great content and then you do it just like every once in a while, that's not going to be good enough. You want to be a consistent presence and a consistent voice for your brand whenever you're doing anything like that. So it's definitely huge on social media and for brand building to be consistent, because without consistency, you're never going to get anywhere. If you look at the most successful social media accounts or YouTube channels or marketers, they're pretty consistent with their content and how they just show up in general. If you look at your career, college, whatever, some showing up a lot of times is actually half the battle, or even 75% of the battle sometimes is just getting there. Getting into the gym, changing your physique, changing your body, getting healthy. That all comes down to consistency as well. You can work out hard as hell. You can work out as hard as you want, but if you only do it once or twice a week, that might not be enough. You have to be consistent with it. You're a student in college, you can't just go to class half the time. You gotta show up to every class and put in that effort of taking those notes and studying, doing your homework and taking those exams, things like that. When it comes to your career, you don't want to necessarily slack off or take off days, especially if you're very serious about your career, or you need that skill development. You have to be consistent, show up every day, and then after you are consistent, you're going to see the results down the line. Because everything isn't necessarily linear. There's a learning curve to everything in life. So that consistency is what's going to help you to overcome and accomplish your goals. Now, if you can be a type of person that's not going to hesitate when they decide they want to do something, and you're going to stick with whatever it is you decide to do, there's no way you're not going to be successful, in my opinion. It might not happen instantly. There's no such thing as necessarily an overnight success, but if you can commit to moving with speed, and you can commit to showing up and being consistent, I think that you're going to win.